Are they not eating?
And welcome everybody. It's our fourth session of the day.
It's just a summit.
They, somebody's got a hot mic, so let me mute them.
Eating? Go?
That's
Oh.
okay, got it. Divya, very excited to hear your presentations. I don't want to go on too long, but I just think that we kind of both aligned on these AI Center of Excellences that I think are very important to empower our people as a community. We really want to help everybody upskill and learn about AI, about how they can be more effective for themselves, that'll make them more effective for their companies. So it's just a whole thing and it's brand new. So I think loads of opportunities. So Divya, we're thrilled to have you and let me kick it right over to you.
Thank you, David, and thank you everyone for joining. And I just want to share that I had an unexpected oral surgery today. So if I'm lisping or if I'm my whole left side is numb and I've got like a lot of pain. So if I'm not up to the par, I am asking for your patience and kindness.
You sound great.
So we'll go ahead and get started. I will. So just so that everyone knows, we are going to have breakout rooms around like approximately around like 35 minutes from now. It's a 20-minute breakout room. I'll also walk you through. Thank you, Pamela. Appreciate it. Um, I'll walk you through what to do, and it's going to be a very solid workflow that can help you with any decisions you're making using AI. So just wanted to give you all a heads up about that. And without further ado, I'm just going to jump into it. So there has been the hype from 2022. And how do we kind of get into this AI? A lot of people are talking, a lot of tools are out there. So here's what I'm going to tell you is that AI is not going to replace you. Even though y'all may be hearing, oh yeah, Microsoft laid off another round of people. Microsoft laid out another round of people. And yes, now Microsoft has mandated AI, everybody needs to use it. But even then, AI will not replace you. But anybody who knows AI will replace you. So the key is that how can you amplify yourself? And how can you use AI beyond just the content creation and all of that? Going and using it for critical thinking. How can you make faster, better decisions, informed decisions with having human intervention every step of the way under pressure? And then creating the time that you need away from the grunt work, away from the grind so you can do the meaningful work. Remember, it's not AI versus us. It's about how we can direct that AI so that you can outperform anyone. So what we are going to look over today is why AI initiatives are failing. And I can tell you, I'm working with a lot of executives and different companies. And then we are going to go through pillars around focus and governance. And then during the breakout, either you can take a reflection exercise or you can walk through like step by step process and walk away something with yourself. And it will be about working the work. And I'll share one example with you all. So, all right, so if you kind of think about it, a lot of reactionary money has been spent since 2022. And a lot of organizations have spent millions of dollars on chasing AI tools without having a clear strategy that how this AI is going to give us the ROI. And then there is this FOMO, right? Oh my God, if I don't hop on the bandwagon, I'm going to miss out. And individuals are making wrong decisions. So it's about making informed decisions, not making decisions out of FOMO. And centers of excellence overlook the presence of people. When we include the people in the equation, that's when the centers of excellence exceed. So the key is that how can we position the organizations and individuals as leaders so that you're driving strategy? It's not just about adapting. And it's also not to kind of just wait and see, like, okay, I'm going to just look where this AI is going. But the key is how you are going to shape it. So I want to share like one of the traps that has happened, and this is all public knowledge, so not revealing anything about anyone, just taking the public knowledge and sharing it out with here. So Honeywell, they had launched 30 AI pilot programs, but none of them gained traction. And the reason was that the operational priorities were not very, very clear. So then what happened was they revisited it and they were able to use the predictive maintenance. And as a result, when they focused on the right priorities, they were able to move forward. So remember that if you do not have the strategy, not only it will drain your resources, it will also use up the money as well. So now I'll share an example. One of my AI executives, he had already implemented the AI. They had brought in a tool, a fintech company, and they did not look at their processes. And the tool kept on breaking at different steps. So it's not about just kind of bringing in the tool without trying it. And then a lot of people take AI courses. But then what happens is like, okay, this tool is really great, but it doesn't fit in my work, so I cannot use it in my day-to-day work. All right, this tool is great. I've learned from this course, how I can do this MBA. A lot of courses are out there. Or how can I run the strategy or operations? But you know what? It's not aligned with my team priorities. So the key is not to be busy, but it is to be relevant. And one of the key things to remember is that the centers of excellence are ecosystems, where I come from a science background. And I'll share a story about one of the startup companies that I worked with recently. And what they did was they had hired a brand new executive, like a chief tech officer that I had previously coached. So what he did was that before implementing AI, he brought me in and we looked at all the processes. And before we built their center of excellence was they got everyone involved. Every person, it was a small company, so it was easy to get everyone involved, but they focused on their people. And when people have bought in, I guarantee you that your growth is going to bring you success. So now, all right, we have taken a look at the trap, how it is not working for the companies and individuals. So where do we go from here? We are going to look at the 3P lens, because the key is very important to identify. What is the most impactful area where I can apply my AI in? How can I find those key areas that will give me ROI, that will position me as the go-to expert? Another thing I do want to talk about is the governance. So many people are rushing into bringing in AI, integrating AI with their systems, but it's so critical to have governance before you do anything. And it's about not just going out and building that system, but it is something that you have champions behind. It is a system that people can trust. And then we will have breakout session, I'm going to give you all 2 exercises. You can take your own pick depending on your interest. And then the whole idea is that not just come, join this webinar, and walk away, but it's about making that commitment to yourself. You have probably heard some really great learnings from this summit because I know WITI and David bring so much value, but it's about taking that next step, making that commitment to yourself. How will you become the leader that you are? You already are that leader, and it's about positioning so that other people recognize you are the go-to expert. So you may be thinking, there is so much to learn in AI. I could go and look at ChatGPT or Copilot, or I could, try the automation. I could start building AI agents, or do I start with, everyday tools? There's Workday, there is Notion. You can do so many things with different things. So where do I begin? Do I just begin at the beginning learning, or do I get complex, building complex GPTs or tools or automation? So the key thing is that to look at, if you're looking at it as an organization and as a team, what's going to bring the most value? And what is the speed going to be? So remember, speed is the shortest way to implementation. Because if it's taking long, you'll find that people may get disinterested because they're not seeing the results. And with a shorter time, what happens is you run short pilot programs, people see the value in it, like, yeah, it can be achieved. And based on that pilot program, you can build more. Now, if you're looking as an individual, then think about it. All right, I want to implement AI. How does my role, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a consultant, you're a C-suite executive or a professional, this is my AI strategy. Where are my strengths? How can I see AI fitting in for me? Not you fitting in for AI, but you taking the AI to fit in for you. And that small focus, building the small focus so that you have that minimum viable product. You have the results, you see the ROI. Now, the 3 things I like to focus on, the first is the processes. And the reason being that before you take to the people, you want to know, where are your repeatable processes? Like, oh gosh, this takes so much time. It's high volume. How can we make those efficient? Now you know which processes to improve, then you go and find those people. And then again, understanding, like, who are these people? Who's going to support you? And then where are the possibilities? Where we have seen not only up to 10x productivity, 10x efficiency, we have seen up to 23 to 30% of efficiency. So this is if you're looking at doing at organizational level. And if you're planning to do at an individual level, the key is to remember is like, okay, so many days, like it's like, oh, I wish I had an assistant. Oh, I wish I had somebody do this for me. So these are like, so think about there are 3 areas of the energy: low energy, medium energy, high energy. So the low energy is like, there are tasks that like, kind of take you towards the downward spiral. Like it just brings you into the low energy zone. Medium energy, like, yeah, they excite you, not so much. And then there are high energy. So how can you create those space using AI so that you can dance in the high energy areas? And going back to the processes, I just want to go back to the Honeywell's example. So they focused on predictive maintenance, which was very data heavy, and the ROI was absolutely clear. And the sources out there have reported that predictive maintenance helped them reduce the unplanned downtime by 25%. It extended equipment lifetime. Like, what is the life of a certain equipment by 30%? And then overall on maintenance, it saved them around 8 to 12%. So that's considerable monetary gains. And think about it, if you're able to save the money as that company, wouldn't it be great to hand out those bonuses, not only to the shareholders, but also to your people? And so AI is not the monster that we all might think it is, or which may be projected. If used properly, AI can bring us a lot of savings and a lot of time where you can not only unlock high ROI, but find those tasks, that high energy tasks that you don't have time for. So I'm going to share with you like one of the stories about one of my clients. So one of this gentleman, from in the technology department at a very high level, and he was writing this data and report consolidation, and it would take him hours together. So that doesn't, my apologies, that shifted, the slide shifted. So what happened was he was putting in the data and working through Excel. So we didn't know if AI would reliably produce the same thing. So what we did was, as I was working with him, we put in checkpoints. So this way, let's say if there was any biases or if there were any errors that AI could do, because AI can make errors. So we put in the checkpoints ahead of time. And when he did that, it saved him months together over the years. So for example, he's been using that since 23, 24, and this is we are almost in the mid of 25. It has saved him hours and hours. So now he's only putting in 5 hours at the end of the month versus before he was putting in week and a half. And not only it has saved him hours, but it has also given him time to focus on high energy works. Now, all right, we've identified where we are going to apply the AI, but how do we go about it? And I'll tell you, I have some Gen Z clients. Yes, Gen Z who are not open to learning AI because they had a couple of bad experiences. For example, that, if you go and do the Googling, Google AI will give you the list of things that you're looking for, like whatever search you have done. So for example, what are the best hotels in the town for X, Y, and Z? So it gives it to you. And then this gentleman, let's call him John, the Gen Z, looked at it and he found a couple of instances that was not right. So one bad instance left a sour taste in his mouth. So when you're going to implement the AI, find out who are the champions, who's going to block it, where is it coming from, understand their fears, biases, and overwhelm. And that's where the pilot program really help. So when you engage these change agents, and also as an individual, it's important that when you have built that trust with the skeptics and you involve them, okay, listen, this is an open floor, tell us where you see the issue is, and then based on that, we will involve in the pilot. So you're listening to their objections and answering them. Now, possibilities. One of the key advantage of AI is the speed. It also can cut the cost dramatically because as it cuts down on the time, it's going to reveal the ROI and where it will save you dollars. And I will tell you, you can also improve decision quality, which you can see today with her SWOT workflow. So, for example, one of the healthcare systems used AI. They have got a whole AI scheduling system. And now, because of that, because of the reminders, and also letting them know that, hey, if you want to cancel, cancel before 48 hours. If you don't, you'll be charged a fee of $50. So when they're getting that reminders, their no-shows went down by 40%. And one of the analysts, what he did was he started drafting executive summaries, which would have taken him weeks. So now he just, even though people haven't asked him for executive summaries, he generates it, shares with his team. So people are reaching out to him for insights. So I want you to think about, what is that one possibility that excites you? Or what could you bring that possibility for your team? And remember, it is always magical when you bring to your personal problems or for the actual business problems. And I want you to take some time and share in the chat, if you're open for sharing. Is there one process that you'd like to optimize for your team? Or it could be one thing that you could work on. Another thing to think about, you have connected with so many people here. WITI is a hub of wonderful people. Who's that one person that you would connect with? And what's one new possibility that you could explore to grow your career, to grow your business, to grow your team? Now, let's talk about governance. So governance is that it's important to build something that is safe, ethical, because integrity is really critical, and what's scalable. And also, I will share that Copilot was built more towards like projects and all that. So for one of my clients, we kind of built a governance just for them, for as an individual. So that way their data is safe and everything is there. So you can onboard your AI for your work as an individual. Think of them as the best assistant you can have. So the RACE framework really works well. So the first key thing is like identifying what are the risks and then mitigating it. And now this is the place where most people kind of get lost. Is, all right, like, oh, one department will say, oh, you are supposed to do it. Oh, you are supposed to do it. Define who owns what and what are they responsible for. And as you're working through, it's very important to maintain that transparency and sharing the why behind it. And what does that ethical standard mean for yourself, whether as an individual or for the organization? And it's important. So for example, I'll share with you, if one of my client wants to have an AI coach, which is AI coaches, it's just kind of sending them prompts for their, as an accountability partner. So I asked them, would you like to have an AI partner? Would you like to have an AI guide? So then what happens is, if they say yes, great. I share with them that I do use AI. And if they need, I'm happy to work with them. If they don't want it, that's completely fine. So we're maintaining that transparency. Those are my standards. So as an organization, it's important for you to have your standards. And it's important to like continuously monitor and adapt. Because when you do that, it really builds trust and allows you to scale the AI. So RAISE was used by Department of Defense. And the idea is that it's reliable. It gotta work under different circumstances. But the key is that human beings can intervene anytime. And the key thing to know that is that you're able to trace how did you arrive at that decisions. Because remember, for Department of Defense, it's a life or death situation. So that trust is needed. Now, when you are thinking about that governance for yourself, so go back, I'll share another story about myself. For one of my clients, we were working and he was like, okay, that if I am putting out if I'm putting out these outputs, if I'm doing something for my client. So just recently, one of my clients asked me to draft a summary for them as they were negotiating. And of course, we had NDA and all that with his company and all that. So I shared with him the whole logic and the workflow. So he knew exactly where each point was coming from. And that's very, very important. And I want to say thank you to everyone as you have made your commitments and as I've seen it in the chat. So same thing, think about it, that this is what I'm going to do. Can I explain where it originated? What was my rationale? What was my thinking? What was that metacognitive skill that went behind it? And then would I trust the decisions from AI without human review? And I'll say no. You've got to have human intervention at every step, or have some checks and balances that it's checking itself. And if you are adding AI tools in your workflow, who's responsible? Who's owning the risk? Always remember, it's the choice, it's not the policy. So now we are going to be going into the breakout rooms. And before we do that, I'm going to show you all how do we kind of go about it. So the first one is, it's a more of a thinking process, and I will be dropping a handout for y'all. And if you want to kind of jump into any tool of your choice, it can be Copilot, it can be Anthropic, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever you want to use, and work through this. So the first step is that, okay, what tool do you want to review? It could be Notion, it could be Workday, it could be a tool you've built, a custom GPT, or it could be just the Copilot itself. So then the idea is to understand that, do you know how the tool works? How are you using it for the decision-making process? And then, is there a bias risk? And here's what I'll share, that, one of the mortgage companies that I was working with, they had fed in the data. And one of the things we found was it was declining the mortgage offers to those whose profiles were not included in the data. So there is that risk that exists. So thinking about where the bias could happen. And then the third thing to kind of review is, can I track my decisions? Can I review it? Who owns it? And at the end of please take the screenshot if you want to go with this, is that end of the breakout room, you'll have one improvement that you can work on. And what is one relationship you're going to build upon? So that is the first one, if you like to do it. Another one is the SWOT workflow, which I'm going to walk y'all through. So there are 5 steps to it. So first is, we are going to analyze the organization, or you can use it for personal too. Doesn't matter. Let's say if you're looking for a job, or you're looking to expand your business, or you're looking to do something with your team, then what are the internal strengths and weaknesses in relation to AI? Then what are the opportunities and threats around the AI ecosystem? Okay, once this is done, how can we summarize the findings? Find the key patterns and the key insights. And after this, based on impact and urgency, how can we prioritize? And then what you're going to do is you're going to find 3 to 5 issues that you need to focus on. Now you may be saying, oh, this is way too much. How am I going to get all the ranked priorities, immediate action? And when I say one stakeholder, it could be one of your team members, it could be your boss, it could be your client if you're a business owner, if you're a consultant, it could be the client. So I see there is a question over here. So basically for the defense, it's there is some information out there, not everything is out there. So without having full knowledge, I would not want to comment on that, but it's a great question. And Julie answered some of that. So some great questions here. So before we go into it, I'm going to share with y'all how I did my SWOT analysis. So you will see that you can do that in 10 minutes if you have the information. If not, you can just kind of put in whatever you can. So if you let me know if y'all are able to see my screen. So here's the workflow. I'm going to give it to y'all. It's multiple lines. You don't have to worry about it. You just copy that and drop it in the AI tool of your choice. It can be Copilot, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, anything. So once you drop it in, it's going to act as our SWOT facilitator. And it's going to say, okay, what would you like to do? Do you want to refresh yourself on the SWOT principles if you've forgotten it? Or do you just want to jump in straight into internal strengths or weaknesses? So I said, and then he's going to tell you, he or she, whatever we want to call them, that what makes a strength, weakness, what makes an opportunity. So he or she or it will tell you exactly what it can teach you. And then it will ask you exactly what it wants. And then it will guide you step by step. Okay, where do I want to do? So I know about the SWOT. I do it with the clients all the time. So I said, I just want to start. And then as you all can see, what did I do? I gave it the strengths. This is an example of one of the clients we created the governance. I gave them the weaknesses, that we don't have a consistent system, decision-making gets bottlenecked, we lack structured leadership development. So I said that, and within 5 seconds, it gives me what are the internal strengths. And I'm just walking through these so that you can see that how it takes the little bit of information and formulates it into very clear, distinct output. And now the way we have built this workflow, the way I build the workflow, as you can see, there's human intervention every step of the way. So it's asking me, are you good or shall we move on? So I told it like, no, I want it to be more relationship-based and systematized. Because I'm telling it that, hey, it's important that people are baked into the process. So then it goes, it updates it. I'm not going to linger around over here. And then it's now going to ask me, what are the opportunities? What are the threats? So then I gave it, what are the opportunities? That, hey, collaborative governance models are trending. There is rise of digital governance platforms, growing emphasis on leadership pipelines. Now, what are the threats? Regulatory environments are changing. There's economic uncertainty. And then competitors have the agile governance practices. So our methods could get changed very fast because of that and because of rapid changes. So it goes ahead and creates that external opportunities based on the threats. And then I said, okay, it's asking me again. So again, there is human intervention. Are you okay to move on? I said, sure. And now it gives us the whole governance structure and the decision making. What needs to be done? So you just have to feed into things, and then it comes out with that clusters and the path forward. Now it's asking, does it make sense to you? So I said, yes, it does make sense. And the key is to be talking to it like you would talk to a human being, very, very clear to it. So now it creates each theme by strategic impact and urgency. We did the scoring. And he asked, like, I can propose initial scores for your reaction. So why even spend time on that? So it creates the scoring. It did the scoring. This provides the summary. And I said, okay, this looks good. Do you want to tweak? And there was one thing as we were working on one of my clients' things, I said, no, this score is 4 for urgency instead of 3. And I'm giving it why. That, hey, I'm seeing that signs that as people shift roles, the cracks are starting to show. So systematizing feels more pressing than I realized. So it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. And as you can see, everything is very clearly outlined. So then I'm telling like, okay, what would be the final scores? So now it's going and updating the table, and then it completes, giving us top strategic issues where we need to work on. And again, it's going to ask us if I can confirm. So I say, yes, I'm confirmed. And these are the details which need to be addressed for the governance. Any questions before I drop in the workflow in the chat? And you can open up your mics and ask. No questions?
I
So
feel like it's going to be kind of a process. At least for me, I can say I think it's going to be a process that, so I guess it'd be kind of normal, probably. It's kind of a question here. Normal, probably